Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video. And this is a video that we haven't done in a very long time. We're going to be doing an opening older Star Wars figures video, and I do have my son Little Bossk with me today to give you his opinion on the figures that we do open. We have got a range of figures this time. Once again, we've got Legacy Collection figures, we've got 3.75 inch Black Series figures, we've even got an important 5POA figure, which I do need to open for a gap in one of my scenes that I have set up now. And we also do have R2S4M or R2 Sam, if that's how you prefer, who is sitting right in front of you now, and that's going to be the first figure that we're going to be opening up. So if you do happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to drop a like down below and subscribe if you are new. And the first figure, as I said, we're going to be opening on this video is R2S4M. And here he is. He is a Droid Factory figure, and he is the drink server on the barge. So what do you think of this one, Little Bossk?
I think he looks really cool because he looks like the R2 with the drinks.
He does. He is very, very much like the R2-D2 with the drinks tray that you get in the vintage collection, and we will be comparing the two once we open this one up. The card backs for these Droid Factories aren't the best. You get a simple picture of the figure there. Bit of a scene going on behind with the Jabba's palace and the figure in the bubble, of course. And it is part of the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, which is pretty cool. Many different lines are in on this. So you've got the vintage collection, you've got the Black Series, and even Lego and other companies are even, you know, joining alongside Disney, Lucasfilm with the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. Back of the card there just gives you a bit of basic information about the figure that we are going to be opening. And yeah, let's take a look. Alright then, so here is R2S4M out of the packaging and standing next to the R2-D2 with the drinks tray as well. So first of all, Little Bossk, what do you think the main differences are between the two figures?
Well, there's two things that pop to mind. One, the drinks are a different colour, and two, the things on the top of his head are a lot bigger than the R2's.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you can't really use the drinks tray off the R2S4M on your R2-D2 figure. They are different molds. The R2S4M is a builder droid, and the one on the right, the R2-D2, that is actually the mold that's similar to the one that came out in The Empire Strikes Back, that has that front panel that pops out and what have you. What is interesting is that the Builder Droid version does come with the removable middle leg, which I have in my hand right now. But I do like this one. It is like a off-white colour with a bit of weathering on it with the red stripe down the middle. But at the end of the day, they are very similar figures. And also something to note as well is that the Builder Droid figure for this R2S4M does have the holes filled in very much like the R5D4 that we've just got in the vintage collection. So the holes on the side, just there behind the legs, have been filled in, which is very good, of course, because they always looked a bit dodgy. But that's that figure for us. But I haven't really decided where I'm going to display this figure at the moment. At the end of the day, he is supposed to be inside the katana, the sail barge, serving drinks in there. But I actually have my katana now all sealed up with the panels on the front. You can't see the figures inside. So I'm probably either going to have him on the top deck of the katana, or I'm going to put him into Jabba's palace in my little scene there. Haven't really decided what I'm going to do that. It's the same for the R2-D2 as well. But of course, the drinks are removable on the top there. You can take those off. They've got little pegs there, but of course you want to be very careful not to lose those. But I do prefer these little sort of clear shot glasses with the drinks inside, as opposed to the ones that you do get with the R2-D2. But pretty cool figure, and it will go nicely in the display. Okay then, so next up we're going to be taking a look at a 5POA figure very, very quickly. This is one from the 2-pack. This Rogue One 2-pack, and it is Pal. He is part of the Rebel Commando unit that arrives on Scarif to help, you know, steal the plans for the Death Star. So pretty cool figure. Would love this one in the vintage collection with full articulation, but that doesn't seem to be happening at any time soon. So for my little Rogue One setup that I have on top of my shelves, I do need this figure. Even if he's going to be sitting in the background holding his blaster and that's about it, I need him there because he does look like he's got a good head sculpt at the very least. So let's open this one up and take a look. Very, very quickly, you can see all of the things that you got included in these 2 packs. Very much a kid-orientated line with all of these sort of like rocket launchers and things like that. They shoot these things out. These things I'm really not concerned about for my display, but you've got the 2 figures there, both 5POA. You've got the Rebel Commando PAL, and you've got a Death Trooper. And once again, I've got plenty of super articulated Death Troopers. I really do not need to display that guy, but this guy here is the one that we're interested in, so that's the only one that we're going to be looking at from this pack. Alright then, so here is Rebel Commando PAL out of the packaging, and I've got to say, you know, once again, the sculpting work that they did with these Rogue One figures and for the Solo line as well, you know, they are really, really good sculpts. No getting away from the fact, but at the end of the day, he doesn't have elbows, which is a big, big problem for holding the weapon in both arms, that kind of thing. And, you know, this is why 5POA is not okay. But from the general look of the figure, he looks great. The paint apps look great. He's got some weathering going on him and everything. You've got the removable backpack with a little antenna on the back. And as I just said, you know, this figure is 5POA, except for it's not. It's actually 6POA. And why is that, little Bossk?
Because he's got an articulated mouth.
He has got an articulated mouth, which is pretty cool for this character, of course. Because at the end of the day, he does do that like screaming effect, doesn't he, in the film when they're sort of attacking the base and what have you. And I really, really enjoyed that character. I think he looked really cool, proper Star Wars character. Let's just take a look at that motion now, shall we? Do you want to do that, little Bossk, while I hold him? There you go, yeah. So it moves up and down. It doesn't close fully, but it opens up just enough so you can get that sort of like, you know, screaming effect. But there you go, the figure looks great. And if we just turn him around, you'll be able to see the backpack there. Some nice sculpting work going on the backpack, which is removable. It's just got a single peg there, which just goes into the back of the figure. Once you do have that backpack in, I do find that he does seem to want to topple backwards, which is why I do have him on a stand. And there's the blaster as well, which once again is a little bit bendy, but it does fit into his hand very, very nicely. And yeah, come on Hasbro, this is the sort of thing that I would love them to do in the vintage collection. These very, very cool aliens. But he was a big part of the Battle of Scarif, and I think he needs to be made. So that's your Rebel Commando PAL. Alright, on to the next figure. Alright then, so next up we are going to be opening Wilro Hood from the Legacy Collection.
People might be screaming that we're opening this figure.
They might be. He is pretty expensive on the secondary market. I think at the end of the day, when he first came out, he was a bit of a peg warmer, but now if you try and get this figure on the secondary market on eBay or wherever, he is quite pricey. Yeah, so you might think I'm a little bit crazy for opening this one, but I do want this figure loose for my Bespin display. It's the only one I have, so it's the only one that I can open, and if you wanted to buy this figure loose, he can be quite expensive anyway. And also the packaging isn't 100% mint. We do have a bit of a crease up there on where it says ages 4 on that little hanger tab there. It's a little bit creased, but let's have a look at the packaging anyway. So there he is, Wilro Hood with his little ice cream maker there. And little Bossk, do you know who this guy is?
I think that's the person that was running in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, he is a blink and you'll miss it character. Often lots of people at conventions cosplay as this character, Wilro Hood, and run around with their ice cream makers and what have you. But basically, when Lando Calrissian tells everybody to evacuate Cloud City, for a blink and you'll miss it moment, you will see Wilro Hood running off past the screen with his ice cream maker. And there's the scene right there. And they've reenacted that with the figure there. This isn't going to be the greatest figure. It hasn't got, you know, ball-hinged hips or anything like that. But it's still a cool figure to have in the collection. And you also get a Builder Droid part. You get an arm of the HK-50 droid there, which I do have complete anyway. I managed to pick that one up from Tungori, but I've almost completed one of my own now with that arm. So there you go. So there he is, Wilro Hood from the Legacy Collection, and we're going to open him up right now and check out the figure. Alright then, so here he is, Wilro Hood out of the packaging, and that is pretty much the pose that I'm going to be having him in my Bespin display, running along there with the ice cream maker, or Cantomo as I think they're called now. And what do you think about this figure, little Bossk?
I think he's cool, but I've got one question for you.
What's that?
Why is he chubby?
He is a little bit chubby. I think it's probably got something to do with the fact that the actor was a little bit chubby, and he is wearing that all-in-one sort of flight jacket or mechanic suit, if you like, and maybe that doesn't help his waistline either. But there he is, running along with the Cantomo. I think that's pretty cool. As I said, I think at the time this came out, it was a bit of a peg warmer, But now if you want this figure on the secondary market, he is tough to get and he commands a fair price. Let's just take a look at the figure close up. So we'll just get rid of that first. So little Bossk, you were going to say something about that, weren't you?
I was going to say that it looks very different to the Mando one because it doesn't open up and it has the rebel symbol underneath it.
Does it? Okay. Oh yeah, it does indeed. It has a little rebel symbol on the bottom there. I never noticed that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, but this thing doesn't open or anything. It's just like a molded piece of plastic, but it's still pretty cool. And it looks like, you know, what it's supposed to look like, basically. So there you go. And there's the figure itself. He has a decent head sculpt there. Looks fairly like the actor. You've got the moustache and everything, and then on the arms you've got some silver detail of like code cylinders and things like that in the pockets on his arm. As I said, he's got one of those, it's like a flight jacket, I guess, with the pockets on the front of his trousers. And in terms of the articulation, I mean, he's pretty good. He doesn't have the ball jointed hips, as we've said, but he does have like a ball jointed head. He has the ball hinged shoulders and elbows. I think he only has swivel wrists. He has a swivel at the waist there, swivel hips. He has the hinge at the knee, and he does have a hinge at the ankle as well, but no rockers or anything like that. But that is Wilro Hood, and I'm glad to have him in the loose collection. He comes with the Rebel style blaster as well. And yeah, I might not have him holding that. I might just have him running with the ice cream maker. So there he is, Wilro Hood, and we'll move on to the next figure. And the fourth and final figure that we're going to be taking a look at in this video is the 3.75 inch Black Series Darth Malgus. He was number 4 in the line on those TIE Fighter pilot packaging. I think some people call it the blue line, if you like, because on the back here you have this blue line going down. And there's a bit of an image of Malgus on the back there. I was never a massive fan of this packaging. It is a little bit boring to me, and you know, the bubbles often came off the cards, as you can see that this one is doing right now. But this figure is also available in the vintage collection. I can't offhand remember what number he is, but he is available in the vintage collection on an expanded universe card back. And he's always reminded me of other characters, which we'll get into in a second. But we're going to open him up right now and take a look. And who knows, maybe this is a candidate for a reissue in the future. I don't know. You'll have to let me know what your thoughts in the comment section below, whether this figure's good enough to be reissued and if you'd want him. So let's get him open and take a look. Alright then, so here is Darth Malgus out of the packaging, and there's a fair bit to go through with on this figure. Some interesting accessories, which I will talk about in a second. But first of all, your general thoughts about the figure, little Bossk?
He reminds me of the Grand Inquisitor from Obi-Wan, but with a bit of Darth Vader's mask.
Yeah, I was just about to say exactly the same thing. I think this figure reminds me of a cross between Darth Vader and the Grand Inquisitor. Very, very similar traits from both of those characters. And this is an expanded universe character. He does have that sort of Vader-like head, even so much as the like Sith eyes and the markings around the eyes, and of course the breathing apparatus as well on the face there. And the armor looks very much like the Grand Inquisitor, and how the cape hangs down as well. And he is a beefy figure, this one, really, really beefy figure. Now, what really interested me about this guy is the accessories that he came with, because not only do you get the cape, which is attached to his back, which drapes down on the back there, but you also get these robes. And what's interesting about these particular robes is that they do have like a bit of wire in the neckline there, so you can actually wrap it around his shoulders or around the top of his head to make it sort of, you know, hang on the figure better. And this is something that I've called for them to do on other figures where the robes have been, you know, far too big. I'm thinking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, for example, where the robe is just really, really baggy and it just looks silly, and the hood looks silly. But with this one, you can actually manipulate it in such a way that it sits around him a little bit better. It still isn't 100% there, and the hood is still a bit too big. I'll put it on him now so you can see. But at least with that neckline there, it does have a bit of wire in there that you can at least shape it a little bit more around the figure. So there you go. Still not perfect, because I think the material is just a little bit oversized. The hood is definitely oversized. But as I say, at least you've got that thing that goes around the neck with the wire in it, so you can at least manipulate it a little bit better so that it stays on. It doesn't have like a bit of string to attach around the neck or anything to actually hold it on and keep it in place. So they've gone for that instead. So let me know if there's any other figures that you know of that do that as well. This is the only one that I have in my collection that does that. And maybe they didn't think it was a good solution and they never did it again. I don't know. But, you know, I think I quite like it. Compared to some of the other cloaks that we have. But looking at the figure close up there, you can really see the markings on the head there. Very, very sort of Sebastian Shaw Vader, isn't it? And you've got the little bit of mask on the front. This whole piece here is actually attached to the figure with a peg. So that did come out, as you can see just under there. So you can see how it's all been put together. But there's some decent articulation on this figure, except for it doesn't have ball jointed hips once again. But he does have the ball jointed shoulders and elbows. I'm trying to see if he's got a hinge at the wrist. I think he does. You know, we've got the swivel hips, but he does have the knees and he does have ankle joints as well. But it is an absolute beast of a figure, really, really chunky. And there's the lightsaber lit, and there's also the hilt as well, which does attach to the belt because you've got the hole there. And there's the back of the figure there. So what do you think about the unlit lightsaber, little Bossk?
It kind of reminds me of a fork.
It does. It is an interesting design, isn't it? You don't really get too many looking like that. Pretty cool. And there's the peg there as well, so that it goes into the figure's belt. Alright then guys, so here are the 4 figures that we have opened up in today's video. We have R2-S4M, we have Pal, the Rebel Commando, we have Wilro Hood from the Empire Strikes Back Legacy Collection, and we have Darth Malgus from the 3.75 inch Black Series, also reissued in the Vintage Collection. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to thank you all for watching, and thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members. Your support means a great deal to me as always. Thanks for watching, everybody.
And we shall see you on the next one.